Hello, my name is Brittany Munoz, and for my lifespan interview, I had the privilege of interviewing two people. One is Mr. M, who is a 51-year-old male who identifies as Mexican American, and the other is Mrs. W, who is a 31-year-old female who identifies as white and Caucasian. They both allowed me to record our interviews, and in the following clips, you will see what they had to say in response to my questions. Hello. Hi, Mr. M. My name is Brittany Munoz. Thank you for attending my interview today. Thank you for signing the permission slip and allowing me to record this interview.
Hello.
And so we'll go over a couple of questions. So this interview has to do with the lifespan development through the life from birth to death. And so this section, I just have a couple of questions that will pertain to the section of the lifespan that you think you identify with. And so I'll start with how old are you?
Hi. My age is 51.
Okay. And what is your gender?
My gender is male.
And what do you identify with culturally?
I identify as Mexican American.
Okay. And which lifespan period do you think you belong to? So I have a couple of options for you. Do you think you're like emerging adulthood, early adulthood, middle adulthood, or late adulthood? And for early adulthood, that starts at 25 up until about 40 to 45. Middle adulthood is 40 to 45 until 65. And late adulthood is 65 and older.
Um, for me, it would be middle adulthood.
Okay. And why would you say you think you relate to that, just from what you know about middle adulthood?
For me, I would put myself in the adulthood category because of my age. Um, being 51, definitely fit this category.
Okay. Okay. So next question. During my time in this class, I researched the topic of healthy aging and gathered information from the CDC, the National Institute on Aging, and the World Health Organization. Based off of those articles that I read, the consensus was that we need to take control of our health now so we can prevent or slow down development of illness and diseases later in life. Is there a topic within like aging and health that you think is the most important? I have some options here: nutrition, physical health, being proactive about healthcare, mental health care, or cognitive health. Do any of those stand out to you, or do you think they're important?
Yes, I definitely think nutrition is very important. It in my opinion, it contributes to a long life. Um, it definitely can help you um, live a longer life, lead to longevity. Um, you control what you put into your body, um, from macronutrients, micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and it could definitely contribute to how your body functions. And your body definitely needs um, good energy. And many times when we don't provide our body with good energy, it can definitely put us in a state of malnutrition. This leading to body deterioration at early ages for some folks, can leading to um, a bone deterioration for others, or causing some folks injuries that could otherwise be prevented. So I definitely think that by having good eating habits, good diet, you can put yourself in a good position to lead in a long, healthy life.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I know there's a lot of talk right now about pesticides in our food causing Alzheimer's and things like that. And so I think, like you're saying, if we focus on a healthy diet now, hopefully that can reduce the chances of us getting certain diseases or conditions as we get older.
Yes, I definitely agree.
And we'll move on to our next question. So we're going to be talking a little bit about nurture versus nature. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'll give you a little rundown. When talking about nature, we're talking about hereditary, like genetics, and how that plays an important role in making up the way you are. So it could be the outside, how you look. It could be, certain conditions that are carried from parent to child. And when we're talking about nurture, we're talking about the environment that shapes how you develop. So that can also affect the outside, but it can affect your personality or maybe the way you talk or certain things like that. And so, on that topic, nature versus nurture, which do you feel has influenced you the most? Do you feel like genetics and nature has influenced you or your environment?
Um, I feel like nurture has affected me the most. Um, Upbringing and my environment and my parents' financial status and affordability of food and what they could provide to my family and siblings as they raised us put us early on at a disadvantage um, because what they could afford to buy in the form of food was more processed.
Mhm.
And I think that many times in America, there are children and families that eat highly processed foods due to the family's financial status or affordability. This can be sometimes or many times um, can put people at a disadvantage because highly processed foods are not good for the body. Can create a lot of obesity, can create a lot of iron deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, um, calcium deficiency, a lot of bone density, and therefore it can stunt the growth of children. It can create bone breakage, etc. Uh, Bottom line, it compared to other children, other people growing, it it puts them at a disadvantage as they're growing or living if it's even an adult. So as I grew, I was growing up as a young child and as a young teen, I felt like I was at a disadvantage compared to other people growing up. But I quickly changed that when I joined the Air Force and was able to afford food, and I changed my eating habits and definitely felt like I was able to overcome that.
Yeah, I think education has a lot to do with overcoming certain things that affect you, like in that nurture department.
Yes.
Because it's like you can only control so much about your environment, and education helps you to control certain things that maybe you didn't know before, or maybe, like you're saying, it's what you learned, it's what you grew up with, and you take that education and you make choices that are going to be better suited for you. So yeah,
Yes.
I think yeah, that's a great answer. And next, I'm just going to ask you a little bit about that midlife adulthood. And do you feel like you relate to that adulthood or that stage in life? Do you feel like you're kind of where you need to be or you match your peers? Do you feel like you identify with the characteristics of being in that middle life of adulthood?
Could you please elaborate more on your question?
Let me see. So in the middle adulthood, this is when you are in that period where you start to notice aging, and you're starting to realize that you're in the middle of your lifespan essentially. So you've had life that you've lived before, and you're seeing closer to maybe old age and death. So you're kind of realizing where you are in the lifespan. It's also where a lot of people experience like peak productivity in their love life or family relationships or work. Does any of that kind of relate to you, or do you feel like you're where you need to be in that stage?
Uh, yes, I definitely feel like I'm definitely on pace to where I should be. I feel like I'm very content uh, on my previous career or the careers that I've led or that I've had before. Um, I've worked many jobs before. I've retired before. I've retired. Um, now I'm happily married, but I'm also have contemplated on whether I'd like to work a part-time job or continue to live um, as a retired member of society. So as I compare myself with my peers, some that have returned to the workforce, others that continue to live in retirement, um, I do feel content and feel like I'm on pace with where I'm at with my age of 51. Now it's just a matter of uh, what my wife and I want to do with our next so many years as we move on.
Yeah, kind of seeing what you're going to do with that next phase of life.
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Spending time with family, hopefully grandchildren, things like that.
yes.
And touching on that topic, have you ever experienced like midlife crisis or anything related to that?
No, I don't think I've truly experienced midlife crisis. I, as I worked in the Air Force, I believe I worked so many hours every day. Even on weekends, I was still very busy on call almost all the time. That I think it truly kept me busy, and then in combination with it, making sure that our family was taken care of. So whether it was working in the air, you know, in the Air Force, and then the rest of our time was taking care of the family, that I don't think I had time for midlife crisis because there wasn't any time for anything else. Excuse me. So I I don't think I um, gave myself time to think of that midlife crisis or what I would do or what you know doing anything else. Um, was truly too busy to do anything other than work and family, which I'm definitely proud of.
And I think that's a good answer because they say like, if you keep a body in motion, you stay in motion. And so
Yes,
it's like you were continuing to work, you were continuing to apply your mind to things and be productive. And so it's like you avoided that midlife crisis by focusing on a goal.
yes,
And so that's a good key to healthy aging is continuing to be productive, even into retirement or different stages of life.
yes.
And so to kind of close out our interview, I'll just ask you a few more questions. So, is there any advice that you would give someone entering this stage of the lifespan? And do you feel like there's any major challenges that stood out to you?
Yes, I'd definitely give advice to anybody who'd like it. First thing I would say is that it comes sooner and quicker than what people realize. Um, one minute you're in your 20s and the next you're in your 40s and 50s. We don't think it's going to happen, but it does. So the advice I would give to someone is, I think the number one advice, the most important, is to plan.
Mm,
And by that, that would be the arching umbrella because planning looks different for everybody. And a lot of times we say, what is your 5 year goal? Sometimes you may hear 10 year and sometimes even 15 and 20 year,
mhm,
but that's the very long range. And and just by saying 5 year, people can cringe. Can you imagine a 20-year plan? People really think that doesn't even exist. But
mm,
if you can even take that for what it's worth, it can really, really be valuable because those that actually do that are the most successful, in my opinion. Because with planning comes timetables. By that I mean when you put a time to it, those are the ones that are able to actually become wealthy or at least put money to set themselves up for success. Because if we don't put that timetable to it, then it's very difficult to set ourselves up for financial success in the future. Otherwise, we're just going and zigzag and not really aiming towards a financial goal.
mm,
The best way to set ourselves up for the future is financially is to actually say, okay, a 5 year goal is to maybe set aside so much money per month, even if it's a small amount. And then the 10 year and the 15 and the 20. It's very difficult to do because most people in the early 20s are living check to check,
yeah, especially these days.
especially these days. But even, the $20 a month can add up when you do that for 20 years.
Yeah.
My point being is that if no matter what the goal is, if you plan, look 20, 25 years down the road, you have to say, okay, what are we actually planning for?
Hmm.
It could be for financial success. It could be for good health. It could be for one day owning a home. If we don't look and plan for it, it's not going to happen, you know. So, and so many times, we don't understand how to get there, or how to do it. Then it's time to seek others' expert advice. So that's what I would give out for advice because we're not the expert in everything, but there's no harm in seeking it out. So I would say that in combination, I would say value family by definitely investing in family. Do all we can to invest in family because they're the ones that are going to be here when we move on. And so that's the important thing there. And other than that, you said it previously. Uh, stay in motion because a body in motion is going to be one that can live in longevity.
Hmm.
Those would be my 3 points.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice. Yeah, I think that's something everybody can take with them is, it might feel overwhelming to plan now, but it's like, you know, when they talk about when is the best time to plant a tree? Oh, 20 years ago. But when's the second best time? Right now, literally today. And
Yeah.
so You're like, okay, why am I going to keep putting this off? I need to just make the plan for to set my family up and to set myself up, and it'll help take at least some of that stress, a little bit of the stress off of aging, I think. So, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of this advice and all this insight with me. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for letting me record the interview today. Um, I appreciate everything, and yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So thank you so much for being here with me today. My name's Brittany Munoz. Thank you for signing the permission form, allowing me to record our conversation today.
No
Um,
problem.
so I
Thanks
have
for
a,
having me.
oh yeah, I have a few questions today that we'll talk about different phases of the lifespan and development from birth to the end of our life. So we'll go ahead and move into the questions here. So, how old are you?
I'm currently 31,
Okay. And what is your gender?
a female.
Okay. And for cultural identification, what would you say you consider yourself?
I would say Caucasian, white Caucasian.
Okay. All right. And so now we're going to move into some questions about different lifespan periods.
Okay.
And so I'll give you a couple of options for this one, but which of these, of the following lifespan stages do you think you fall into? So would you consider yourself to be a young adult, middle adult? And then why do you think you identify with that?
I would consider myself a young adult. I would say I started young adult time frame around my early 20s,
Mhm.
and I would say until probably mid 40s, then I would say middle adult. But right now, I would say early adulthood.
Perfect. Yeah. And so in this lifespan stage, typically we see, like you said, people in their 20s, like 25 to 40 or 45. In this stage, they are working through intimate relationships, establishing families, and work is like that primary concern at this stage in life. Do you feel like you belong in this stage, or is there one of those characteristics that you identify with?
I would say that I do identify with a majority of the things you said. Um, as far as like starting a family, I just got married a few years ago, started a family this year. Relationships and identity are still on the rise. They're always changing, and that's kind of like a common thing I'd say in their 20s and 30s. And as far as financially, I feel secure financially. Still kind of on the fence about career-wise what I'd like to do, but I've jumped around with different jobs, and I still feel since I'm in the early adulthood phase that it's okay because things can change and there's really no time limit on that. So I do feel that I fit really well into the early adulthood category based on those things.
Awesome. Yeah, I would agree with you that like it's an ever-changing stage. And so, like you said, there's no real time limit. Just kind of figuring out what fits best for you and I guess following
Yes.
that plan and being flexible with what life throws at you.
Yes, exactly.
And for my next question, I'll give you a little backstory about some of the research I've done for this course. So throughout this course, I've read different articles and written different papers on it. One of the articles that I really was drawn to was talking about something called child penalties. And so when learning about the early adulthood lifespan stage, I read this article which basically was talking about the effects of parenthood on women compared to men. Do you feel that there are aspects of your early adulthood or your new parenting journey that are affected by gender inequality? Do you think that your professional career or income have been unfairly or disproportionately affected due to you being a mother?
No, I don't personally feel like there's been that much of a shift for me. My situation might be different from, other people's, but I am married. I have a good support system with my husband. So currently he is taking on the role of being the provider where I'm a stay-at-home mom, and that was my choice. And I do plan to step back in maybe part-time, maybe not full-time just yet. Um, but I don't feel that there's been any sort of inequality. Maybe if I was to start applying for jobs, they might ask about being a mother and how that would tie into work. Um, I don't feel as a nurse that that would really be too hard for me to jump back into because there's more flexibility. And with today's world, I feel the wages would be the same. I don't feel there would be any discrepancies with that. But I'm not really sure. I haven't jumped back into it, so I can't really say whether or not. Just personally, from my own experience now, I don't feel that there's anything different.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair answer. Especially like these days, people don't consider that stay-at-home moms or homemakers are doing a job. And so that's a lot of like that unpaid labor of you're keeping the household going while your husband or your partner is out doing other jobs. And it's like people don't realize that. So that's a part of like that when we're thinking about is somebody unfairly or disproportionately affected by, sexism or they talk about the gender wage wage gap, excuse me. That's something we think about of like, oh, how is parenthood and motherhood gonna fall in line with that? Thank you
Yeah.
for your answer. Yeah, thank you for your insight.
Mhm.
And so we'll move on to our next topic, which is talking a little bit about nurture versus nature. I'm not sure how much you know about that already, but I'll give you a little information about it. So for nature, we're talking about hereditary traits or genetic traits that can play an important role in making you the way you are. So it could be things that are passed down from parent to child, maybe when you're in the womb or just genetically down the line. And then nurture is talking about your environment that shapes how you develop. And so it's things that affect you after you're born in your life, whether it be food or where you live or certain things that you learn along the way. So my question to you is which one do you feel has influenced you the most?
I definitely feel there's been a little bit of both. You pick up, your things that your parents do or how you're raised. But also, I think the more important one would be nurture because the environment. I think your environment shapes you, and I've had the pleasure of having different environments of getting out of my home state and with my job having different career uh, how do I word it? Different wearing different hats, so you get to see different aspects of things. And I feel the environments every time they've changed, they've brought something new to my life, and it shapes me differently and helps me grow as a person.
Yeah, it kind of like reinforces that resiliency and adaptability. Like helps
Yes,
you, what do they say? Like if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, you know? So
exactly.
kind of one of those. I feel similar, at least in my life, of going through different stages. Environment has impacted me heavily. So
Yes.
yeah. And for our next question, so have you ever felt like you have experienced gender bias or sexism in this stage of life?
I do actually feel that way sometimes. Given our current day and age, I don't feel it's as bad, but I have experienced it being in the military, being a female caregiver. There were times where the older veterans, male veterans, didn't respect me as my job title and being recognized in the military. Um, Ageism sometimes also in healthcare. If you go in for an appointment, you may not be taken seriously for you maybe back pain or something because you're not older. So you're not really taken as serious because you're not maybe 65 and older.
Mm.
So they might ask, why are you here? So you do get a little bit of both, I would say. Um, as far as other aspects in life, I don't feel that I've been really uh, critiqued as far as my age or gender. Just those main areas, really.
Good. Yeah, I could definitely see how, especially being in the military, maybe people think if there's military tied to, maybe if you're going on base or, working with the military organization, they might assume that it's your husband or that it's the male person in your life of like, oh, thank you for your service when really you're the one that served. So it's like, they kind
Yes.
of overlook just because of their what is it called? Like predetermined thoughts that they have and their maybe unintentional discrimination bias. Maybe they don't intend to be that way, but I think a lot of us, it's like learned or ingrained in our community and society. And so we think military person equals man, or
Yes.
veteran equals man, or, if you're a veteran, and you're not, wearing like a Vietnam War hat, you're not injured. Like you don't have anything going on with you. And so I think that could definitely like be a barrier for especially female veterans. So yeah, I would agree with you.
Absolutely. And you're spot on with being, with my husband, they think that he is the veteran. So I do get that quite a bit.
Yeah. You're like, thank you for your service. And you're like, no, actually, that's me, but okay.
Yeah.
Or both, or, feel
Yeah.
left out. And so, our next question um, is there any advice that you would give to someone entering this stage of life? And why has that stood out to you?
This is a good question. I would say if I had to go back and tell someone who is starting out with this stage of life, really focus on your health. And I heard that when I was starting early adulthood and I didn't take it serious because, you're in college, you're entering a new phase of life, you want to have experiences and eat bad and make poor choices, but it does catch up. So I would say definitely focus on your diet and your lifestyle, exercise, um, and financial parts. Your retirement is big. Sitting in my early 30s and considering now what I could have done 10 years ago is very eye-opening to me.
Mhm.
Um, I did a little bit of planning, but now with the economy and the way things are, it's really, you're kind of unsure about everything. So having different investments, I would say, is really important and have fun. That's really a main thing too, is you have to enjoy your 20s and your 30s. I feel like that is a good part of life where you're just learning who you are. And if you don't take advantage of opportunities and have fun, you'll look back and regret it.
Mhm.
So I would say
Yeah.
those are the main things.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those. Like, I feel like nutrition is the base for health. And so if you know, we have a little bit of fun every once in a while, some cake, some this, some that, it's okay. But there's a lot of research coming out now that like cognitive decline and mental health even is tied to nutrition. Like a lot of us know, okay, if I eat bad, I might gain weight, I might, develop disease or certain chronic conditions. That I feel like a lot of people know that, but they don't think about cognitive decline or mental health, and it's all related. And so we're even seeing like, nutrition and sleep affecting people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and like all of these things that we didn't realize were connected. Like if you're eating fruits or foods that are sprayed by pesticides, now they're looking into that to seeing how that affects your nutrition down the line. And so like you may be eating that as a child and you never think about it, you don't question it. And then it affects you later in life and you're like, how was I supposed to know? So that's kind of one of those frustrating, like we do the best we can and try not to stress about it. Like you said, have fun. Don't be so like the world is ending. I can't control anything, but I feel like me personally, it's hard to not want to catastrophize. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are really
Yeah,
good
you
points.
just take things with a grain of salt, I suppose, and wing it.
Yeah, right. Hopefully the salt doesn't have lead in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, And then let's see. So for our final question, we'll kind of wrap things up. What challenges do you think you face at this life stage? Do you feel like these challenges are common with other people who are in the same stage, or do you feel like it's something unique to you?
Challenges, I would say maybe friendships, relationships, they change. Um, Being newly married and a new mom, it's a little different trying to navigate friendships, relationships, have time for things. Financially, still gravitating towards different career choices. So that I wouldn't say that things are unique to me. I think those are common challenges between everyone that's my age, especially now. Um, and let's see. I don't think anything else really is different, but just mostly relationships, friendships, and financial. Just figuring out who I am still, because they say your 20s are for figuring things out, but you hit 30 and maybe you're not quite there still, and you're still figuring out who you are and navigating who you are. So I feel that it's not unique to me, it's common for everyone in this stage of life.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like the current generation, the millennials, I feel like a lot of us feel that of like we're still trying to figure stuff out and everyone's telling us we should have it done, but it's like I don't know. I feel like our generation, we didn't get a great start, so we've had some hiccups in our past couple decades, and so trying to figure things out and feel like we're not alone. Other people experience this and it's okay, There's different paths, different ways to get to the same thing, which is that, self-fulfillment or starting a family or eventually retirement. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea to just remind ourselves, okay, hey, relax, We'll get there
Yeah.
when we get there, but we're not alone. We're not the only one struggling. So,
Yeah, it's a good reminder, definitely.
yeah. And before we end our interview, is there any questions or things you wanted to add?
Um, I don't think there's anything really to add. Your questions are great. I think they really hit what it means to be an early adult. And then there's some things I've thought about since you asked some of those questions, so that was really kind of eye-opening to me. So thank you for letting me talk.
Yeah, it's great to reflect and great to get insight from you. So I appreciate your time. And again, thanks for letting me record this meeting. And I appreciate all your insight and great feedback.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye. In both interviews, participants talked about how they felt in their stage of development, and both of them brought up nutrition, physical health, and most importantly, planning for the future. I think that was the topic that both participants agreed on is that we need to plan for the future and we need to start now. Um, a lot of people don't think about that until it's too late. And at least in the early adult stage and the middle adult stage, both of the participants were thinking about planning for retirement. One participant was already in the retirement stage, but they're still planning for further down the line. So there's always room to improve and time to plan. I think that psychologists have done a great job identifying and classifying the different life stages. But I think there are unique situations to everybody's path. So it may not fit like a one size fits all, but overall, the stages fit most people's situations and they can identify with that stage in life and identify with their peers, and it makes them feel a little less alone to know that there are other people going through the same thing. This concludes my week 16 lifespan interview video project. I have learned a lot from both of the participants in my interview process, and I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you and have a good day.